and with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
As Jesus continued his journey to Jerusalem, he traveled through Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 persons with leprosy met him. They stood at a distance from him and raised their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priests." As they were going, they were cleansed. One of them, realizing that he had been healed, returned glorifying God in a loud voice, and he fell at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. He was a Samaritan. Jesus said in reply, 10 were cleansed, were they not? Where are the other 9? Has none but this foreigner returned to give thanks to God? Then he said to him, "Stand up and go, for your faith has saved you." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today we celebrate the feast of, I don't know if we call it a feast, but we celebrate Thanksgiving. It's a national holiday, of course, in the United States and Canada. But it celebrates the harvest and blessings this year. Americans believe that the first Thanksgiving is modeled after 1621 harvest. It was actually a 3-day feast for the Native Americans as well as the Pilgrims. Over half their population was lost that first year. I believe it was around 120 that came to America, and about half of them died because of the plague or hunger or cold, and so many things they had to endure that first year when they first came to this country. I guess it's a time when we also have to look at our good fortune as we deal with hardship this year with the virus and other things that we oftentimes find ourselves limited in. But how often do we really thank God for the blessings He gives to us? I appreciate our second reading from Corinthians, and this also comes from Philippians, when St. Paul says, "Every time I think of you, I thank God for you." And do we ever think about our family members in that way? Every time I think about you, I thank God for you. Now, even if there's turbulence in the family or hardship or some misunderstanding, we thank God for them because they mean everything to us. And how we should continue to try to ask God to help us to be grateful for those things. When we look at Thanksgiving Day, thank God for the blessings He gave you. And even in the midst of trials and difficulties, God has blessed us in so many ways. And today, try to think about, since you were younger, throughout your life, what you're most thankful for. What is it that you're grateful for? Certainly for your families. But when we look at things in general, what were the times that you found perhaps most alone and you found peace in your life because of a friend or a neighbor, or someone that God brought into your life and helped you understand how He appreciates who you are? So as we look at Thanksgiving Day, we look at a way in which we can have our hearts changed. Gratefulness comes from when we're thankful for everything that we have, but so does peace in our hearts, so does hope, so does an understanding of what God does for us. The more we're grateful, the more we appreciate what we have, the more joy we have in our life. And joy is certainly one of those virtues that it certainly can change us. And those things that we're grateful for brings us joy. And it doesn't mean that we're always happy per se, but we have peace in our hearts. And we understand what God has done for us. You can imagine what it's like for those 10 lepers to be cleansed, and all of a sudden only one goes back to Jesus and thanks Him. And how many times do we fail to go back and thank someone? I remember as a little boy, I was probably 9 years old. Our families would often give us a quiz after Mass. Pay attention to homily if it happens to be you. I know I shared this before. And when it came my turn, I couldn't remember anything. And my mom said, "Well, you're going to have to go to church again today because you didn't hear the homily. You have to go with your father." And I thought that was a horrible thing, to go to church and to hear I have a priest. I thought it was a terrible thing. So I remember on the way back, Dad stopped and we got something to eat, and he was trying to be really nice to me. He said, "You know, one day you'll thank me for this." And then the 9-year-old would probably say, "I will never thank you for this. I didn't say it out loud because I want to go to church 3 times, so. I remember 6 months before I was ordained, I thought, well, I probably should thank Dad for this because I am going to be ordained priest in 6 months. So when I told him, he said, I don't remember that. I said, how could you not remember that? That was the worst day in my life. Very about your day. Dad just laughed. At the time, I really don't remember. I said, you had to go to church twice. He said, yeah, I wonder how that happened. But at any rate, he was trying to teach me some of it out. But we look at these things and we think we're not grateful, but our parents are trying to teach us something. You want to see the value for me, certainly. Why was that so important? And I thought about that after that. It wasn't just to remember the homily. I always go out on my way to make sure I listen to the homily, but maybe listening to it, or listening to the words of the gospel, or listening to what the priest had to say, it made a difference for me. Maybe it makes a difference for all of us, to really listen to what God is saying to us. That I love you. I have people in your life to help you grow closer to me and closer to one another. So we can say too, every day I think of you, I thank God for you. And there's a lot of things that my mom and dad did for me. I'm sure your mother and father did for you. But all of a sudden we're more appreciative as we get older. God does something for us every day. He gave us life. He gave us love. He gave us all these virtues. And the things that oftentimes we do wrong, we just ask forgiveness. St. Paul said, why do I do the things I do and not the things I want to do? And yet he still struggled to do better. He still kept his eyes focused on the cross. He still kept looking at the face of Jesus and his heart. And so we ask God to help us do the same. Today is Thanksgiving Day. Really take your time today to think about something throughout your life that you are really grateful for, that helps you become where you are today, or help you understand things a little differently, because God has been always looking upon you, showing you his love and mercy. Let us stand as you bring intercession.